More on that investigation in just a moment, but joining us live now is the Deputy Prime Minister and the Defence Minister, Richard Marles. Richard, thank you so much for your time this morning under the most trying of circumstances. If a government's primary job, its first job, is to protect its citizens, have you failed the Jewish community?
Well, certainly I understand that people within the Jewish community, but actually people across Australia, will have a sense that what occurred on Sunday night is shattering to people's sense of security. And I also understand that for people in the Jewish community for a long time, they've not felt secure. And it is really important that we are doing everything within our power to stamp out the scourge of anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is at the heart of this, and it's really important that we're doing everything in our power to stamp it out.
Did you fail them?
Well, we have been calling out anti-Semitism. Obviously, we commissioned the Siegel report, and we are busy implementing it. We have criminalised more forms of hate speech than have ever happened before. We've criminalised the Nazi salute, doxing. We're working with our universities to make them safer for Jewish students. But not for a moment would I suggest that the work is complete. This is not something which is done in the course of a day or a week or a month. This is a long-term project where we need to be ensuring that the Jewish community feels safe, that every Australian feels safe, and that we stamp out the scourge of anti-Semitism in this country, and we are utterly committed to doing that.
Yet despite all of those measures that you've implemented, 15 members of the Jewish community were murdered in cold blood.
What occurred on Sunday is utterly appalling, and we need to be looking at it in every sense. The root cause is anti-Semitism, and we need to be stamping it out. But we need to be looking at it from the perspective of intelligence, policing, and the like, to learn every lesson that can be learned from this. So that this never happens again, and that is what our agencies will be doing. I know that our security agencies are amongst the best in the world, but as you say, on Sunday night there were 2 people with guns on that bridge shooting at a crowd, and we need to absolutely understand at every level what the processes have been to learn these lessons to ensure that this never happens again. But I'd also make this point, Pete. The terrorism is about seeking to divide Australia, and this is a moment where it's really important that Australia comes together and comes together in the embrace of the Jewish community, but comes together to see our nation come through this moment. And as a government, we will be doing everything in our power to stamp out anti-Semitism and to ensure that this never happens again.
Yeah, but the problem is, Minister, you said this after October 7. Anthony Albanese said this after October 7, yet here we are now trying to make sense of the worst massacre in Australian history since Port Arthur. So, have you failed to act on it? And this after Mike Burgess warned in February that anti-Semitism was the biggest threat facing Australia right now. That was months ago.
Well, I come back to what I said, Pete. We have taken steps, and I've gone through those, but I'm not here saying that the work is done. Far from it. It needs to continue to be done.
Okay.
And this is stamping out anti-Semitism is not going to happen in a week or a month. It is going to take a long time, but it is a project that all of us, and clearly government leads this, but it's a project that all of us must be embarked on to stamp out the scourge of anti-Semitism, and to also understand that to express one's culture, to celebrate it, is the most Australian thing that any of us can do, and every community needs to know that they can do that without fear and with a sense of joy. Now, we need to be doing everything in our power to ensure that that right is felt by the Jewish community. And we will continue to implement the Siegel report and to take steps to stamp out anti-Semitism. And it is fundamentally important that that's what occurs.
If ASIO was aware of Sajid and Naveed Akram, why were they allowed back into the country after visiting the Philippines, a known extremist hotspot? Was there an intelligence failure there?
Well, look, it's obviously difficult for me to speculate on it, and I shouldn't speculate on it. The important point to make here is this. There is a thorough investigation which is going on in relation to this case, but all the questions that you've raised. And, you know, the questions you're raising are very reasonable, but there is a thorough investigation which is going on in respect of that, and there will be reviewing processes in the context of intelligence, in the context of policing, right across the board, to make sure that we learn every lesson that can be learnt here, that we understand exactly what has happened here, which led to a situation where you had 2 terrorists on that bridge on Sunday night. And Australians should have a sense of confidence that that work will be done. It will be done. Fully and completely, and I know it is being done, as I said earlier, by some of the best security agencies in the world. I can absolutely attest to that. But it's really important, given what has occurred on Sunday night, that we understand completely the circumstances in which that's arisen, and that we learn every lesson that can be learnt here.
Is the move to strengthen gun reform a distraction from a bigger issue, which is radical Islam?
No, I don't accept that at all. I mean, the reality here is we need to do, we need to act in every way that's appropriate here. You know, we've been talking about anti-Semitism. We need to stamp that out. We do need to make sure that we understand what's happened here in the context of intelligence and policing. But gun reform is part of this. You know, at the end of the day, there was a family in suburban Sydney which had 6 firearms. I don't really understand how that can be the case, and that's why we need to be strengthening gun laws as well. It is part of it. It is not the totality of it, but it is an important step, and we will take that step as we will take every other.
Because why? Because if extremists want to kill, won't they do so anyway, gun or not?
But Pete, I mean, I'm sure you're obviously not making that argument to its fullest extent. You know, we do have tough gun laws in Australia relative to the rest of the world, and you know, what opportunity people have in terms of what weapons they can have in their possession goes a long way to what kind of event then transpires. You know, I think we are the beneficiary of gun reforms that were done in the past, including under the Howard government. And that's been really important. Gun laws can be toughened. It is part of this, but no one's saying it's the totality of it. I'm not here saying that to you now, but we've got to do it all. And you know, and I think it's really important that in this moment, Australians are coming together. Like all of these steps matter.
Do you feel like there needs to be, and should there be, a greater emphasis on hate speech from Muslim clerics in the western part of Sydney?
I think, look, I think, as I said earlier, what we've done is criminalise more forms of hate speech, and you know, we've criminalised the Nazi salute. Obviously, that's in its own context, but we need to be looking at all of this, and it is really important that we have.
So should there be a greater emphasis on this hate speech from Muslim clerics then?
Well, I don't want to. We will go through all of this. I emphasise that we have done more in terms of criminalising hate speech than we have seen from any other government. But we need to look at all of this, and we need to make sure that we've got the right laws in place, and that we are doing everything we can to keep safe the vibrant multicultural society that we have.
So, James Patterson, the Shadow Finance Minister, he has warned this morning that the Al Medina Islamic Centre needs to be shut down. He said he's been asking about this for years. Should it be shut down?
Look, I'm not going to go into specifics of that kind. I think what we need to be doing right now is to look at all the laws that we've got in place to make sure that they are doing everything, they're doing the work of protecting our vibrant, accepting, diverse, multicultural society. And we've done more work on that previously, but we need to be ensuring that the laws that we have in place are there and can continue to do that work. And we'll be looking at all of that as we have been and as you have seen us act. But what's really important is that we take the time to get this right, and that we do everything in our power to make sure that we are stamping out all forms of bigotry, obviously, but that we are stamping out the scourge of anti-Semitism.